Hello, I'm in the game. Hello, I'm in the game. Hello, I'm in the video with my daddy.
So what's going on, everybody? Another interview coming up. So White Glove Models is the channel name, and we're gonna get to meet him today. And then we're gonna have another. I've got pretty much interviews up till I think March, so we're just cruising right along now. So hopefully everybody enjoys the next interview. What's going on, dude?
Not much. How are you?
So it is White Glove Models, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, white glove models.
Because I always want to say modeler or modeling, or model works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's kind of a funny name. I actually spent a lot of time trying to come up with something that was kind of catchy or just sounded good. And to me, it's like um, it's more so of the finished product, and just that white glove approach to showing your work, and
Yeah.
just you want it to be for a lot of us modelers out there. We are our worst critics, and everybody else will say, "Oh, that's just a wonderful build," but you always see the issues or defects with it. And so it was kind of one of those things where I just wanted a name that kind of represented the final product and your, just how you would present it. And so it's kind of a funny name, but I don't, I don't know. It's stuck.
You know what? And as long as you can make it work, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Really. I mean, so far everybody seems to enjoy the one I've chosen. No one seems to get, and there's not like 4 or 5 different ones out there that name.
Exactly.
So I totally get that.
Yeah.
So what's on your bench now?
Honestly, right now, just the M4A3 Sherman, the 75-inch or 75 millimeter barrel. This is a part of a group build that I'm doing for Hobby Link International. Hobby Link International has a whole bunch of annual group builds that we do, and this one is one of those for the armor of World War II. And it's actually, believe it or not, this is my first tank that I am building. I've never built a tank before, and so for to me a kit, I'm pretty impressed with it. The only thing I was a little bummed about, and people laugh at me because as a new tank builder, I was kind of looking forward to building track, and a lot of people hate track, and they're like, why would you want to build track? And it's just something I haven't done, and I was looking forward to it. Well, this one has the rubber band track, but I think for this particular build, I have been able to find the metal tracks for it. So I'm going to punish myself a bit and attempt to build the metal track for it. And then we also have the Hind D, which is another group build that I'm doing over at Hobby Link International. And the Hind D, that's the 1/48 Edward limited edition, and it's a beautiful kit. I can't remember I always forget who the original mold is by, but Edward has basically taken their kit and just added all of the fun PE to it and some resin and stuff like that. So it's a beautiful kit, and it should be really cool when it's done. And if you're interested in seeing the actual decal that I am going to be doing, it's a very unique, it's the, I think it was the Hungarian, I'd have to look it up. It's, I can't remember which Air Force it was, but it's an eagle that will be covering the entire bird. And so I have a friend over in the UK that is working diligently on trying to produce that decal to fit the Hind-D. And it should be pretty cool when it's done. But if you want to see the details on that, you can always head over to the HobbyLink International community and check out the forums there. And it's in the forums under that group build. So those are kind of the two that I'm working on mostly at the moment. And then, of course, I have the Bismarck from Agora Models, which that one, it's been a long process for that one because I originally received the parts for it. I pack 1 and pack 2 back, it's been like 5 months, and I was really excited to start building it. And then when I received the package, a lot of you are might be familiar with the Agora Models Bismarck because a lot of people have finished it or are close to finishing it, or the Hachette version of it. And I wasn't happy with it. I'm one of those, so kind of my backstory is, you know, I built models since I was a kid, just like most people our age, and really loved it, but you never really put that much detail into it. You just kind of threw them together and was happy with what you got and tried to make it as best as you could. Around 14 or 15 years old, all of my models were lost in a vehicle fire, and I kind of just stopped building after that, and kind of felt like maybe I'd grown out of it. And I didn't think about it much again until last year. It was some point last year, I was watching all these model channels like World of Wayne and the Scale Modeling channel, and I was like, what am I doing watching these guys build models when I can do it? You know, I mean, obviously it's not a dead hobby anymore. And I guess, you know, what I found out was it never really died. It's grown to, especially to 3D printing, to all the photo etch and all the other aspects that modeling has become today. And it just fascinated me. And I was like, holy cow, you know, I've missed out on all this amazing progress of the hobby itself. And some beautiful kits that have come out. And so I kind of started slowly getting back into it. And I saw these part work builds and was just like, I want to do that, just because I thought it would be cool. And so I started with the Star Trek Enterprise D from Eagle Moss, which that's a whole nother story. I am on the fence about continuing that one, just because of the quality of it. And some of the issues people have had. But when I got the Bismarck, I was super excited about it because the Bismarck, I built the Bismarck when I was a kid. I built the 1/350 scale and absolutely have been fascinated with the Bismarck and the whole history of ships. I am actually a ship captain, so I actually have that passion for ships and stuff. And that's what I used to do for my job. And I've always enjoyed kind of the history of certain ships, and the Bismarck was one of the big ones for me. And I saw it when I got it, I was really unhappy with how the parts looked. And so I said, instead of giving up on this kit, because I really, really want it, I'm going to make it better. And so that's sort of what I ended up doing the last 4 or 5 months, was just kind of working on these parts for the Bismarck and getting them to where I feel they are acceptable. And I kind of have a quick glimpse of that on my YouTube channel. There's a kind of a brief video of what is available on my Patreon channel and the Buy Me a Coffee channel of the modifications and updates I've been making to that. And then I've just recently posted the second portion, so part 2 of the build, which was the Anton gun that goes on the front of it. And so that part 1 and 2 are available on my channel now. So we're finally, after 5 or 6 months, getting to building the Bismarck, which is, it's a blast so far. And then over at Hobby Link International, we've been a few of us have been talking about doing the 1/350 scale, and I'm gonna end up ordering my 1/350 scale and start building that one as well.
So the 1/350 scale, that's the one that's like a coffee table, right? Or is it one of the smaller ones?
It's smaller. It's probably about
it's the like 2 foot one, not the 3 feet one.
Yeah, not the 3 or 4 foot one. It's about 2 feet, 2.5 feet. And the Bismarck from Agora Models is about 4 feet long, and it's massive. And so it's roughly 1/200 scale.
Yeah, no, it's crazy how, and there's all kinds of different scale of that particular boat, but it's kind of cool how you can see, like, there's one that's that, and there's one that actually could be used as a coffee table.
The 1/700 scale is so I actually am doing, this is going to be probably a 10-year project or so, but the 1/700 scale is really small. And I'm currently building, I haven't posted anything on to YouTube yet, but I have posted it onto my social media of the 1/200 or 1/700 USS New Orleans that I'm building. And it's kind of a practice build for a diorama that I want to do. And it's a 1/700 scale of Pearl Harbor hours before the attack. And so there's a lot of great reference material for that. The problem is trying to find all the ships. So I'm currently in the process of trying to get models for all of that. And then I'm going to have to scratch build a lot of stuff like the hangars and things, and get all the aircraft that was on the airfield and all that fun stuff. But that is kind of my big diorama plan for, it's going to take several years to complete, obviously, but trying to get all of those ships, and they're going to be 1/700. And I tell you, man, the 1/700 it's difficult, a lot of really tiny parts.
Yeah.
But Trumpeter manages to put a lot of great detail into those kits as well. And it's like for some reason, I enjoy building the smaller, like 1/4 scale aircraft. And those tend to lack a lot of detail, but they're fun to build for me. And, it's like this, I know, it's crazy. The smaller kits are, I think, a little bit more challenging. And so it's kind of been a good start for me getting back into the hobby to work on those smaller kits to hone some of those skills that I've either been out of practice on, or trying some of the new skills that I glean from people on YouTube. I mean, there's some amazing builders out there, and you've interviewed quite a few of them, and you can learn so much from them. And it's amazing at how much detail and work that goes into certain kits. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really cool on how everybody's kind of enjoys these, and I learned just as much from you guys as probably the people watching, which makes it even more fun. But I want to bring back a topic that you talked about, the hobby dying. I don't think the hobby ever dies.
No.
It shifts 45-degree angles. You know what I mean? Like, you go from building a car to like motorcycle, so you got to shift 45 degrees to learn something new for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you do like a full, what do you call it? Half a turn when you put in 3D printing.
Yeah.
But you always come back to center because you got to learn the basic modeling techniques.
Exactly.
At the end of the day. And I think that's the important part out of all that. And thanks to COVID, this hobby grew.
Oh, big time.
It didn't get smaller. Everybody was stuck at home for 5-6 months, and everybody went back to the hobby.
Yeah.
So it like there's all kinds of new channels on YouTube and all that. So, like before COVID, we could have a different conversation. After COVID, this hobby's nowhere near dying anymore.
No, not at all. And it's funny because one of the first kits that I'll pull it out here was the MPC.
I have that kit.
7 GTO. And this kit was kind of my break-in back into cars. And it's one of those builds that has stalled because my expectation versus reality, especially from watching channels, like Plano models and the scale model channel or whatever it is. But anyways, they like their work on cars and stuff is just superb, and on other, the planes and other kits that they build. But what was funny was with this one, my biggest thing was I had never scribed or done any of that work before. And so I really wanted to practice scribing and doing all that. And I ended up making these panel lines way too deep and wide. So if you were to scale this up, you could probably stick your thumb in there. And so I think what I'm going to do with this kit, just because I really love the GTO, is I'm going to get another kit, another MPC kit for this because they're pretty inexpensive. But then it's like somebody had told me the other day that Tamiya made a GTO, and I didn't know that. So I would like to try to find the Tamiya kit because I heard it just blows the MPC kit out of the water. And
that'd be cool. I know some of the Tamiya stuff. Like I only have one right now, but it's the mine plow.
Oh,
the Abrams with the mine plow.
That's
the only Tamiya kit I have, and I open it up, and then I close the box back down because of the piece count. One day I'll get to it, but that'll be like I have like a month off.
And have the time to put into it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because some of the Tamiya kits, I mean, a lot of people joke you could literally shake the box and they put themselves together. But I don't know. It's like this tank build that I'm doing, there's a lot of parts, but there's a lot of accessories that come with it. And the accessories are cool because then you can kind of add those to a diorama and just basically make it whatever you want. So it's definitely going to be a fun build. I mean, Shermans weren't my favorite tank, and I've never really been a tank person, but I was also I was also never really a submarine guy either, and so it's like I always avoided those kind of kits. But the submarines that they're building out there, they're amazing. You can make amazing dioramas with them too. And so it's like I always avoided the tank kits because I was a little intimidated by them, and they weren't my favorite. But I'm having so much fun with this tank build, and it's going to be an extraordinary model when it's done. And so for those people out there that might be intimidated, like a lot of people, they're strictly building planes or strictly building tanks or whatnot, and might be intimidated by cars. Or something, a different type of model in the hobby. Don't be afraid to grab one of those and just give it a whirl. It's like, with the resin kits and the figures, I've never done a figure model before. And just recently picked up RoboCop from another guy over at the Hobby Link International community, and I'm very excited to eventually get to work on the RoboCop figure because I have a great idea for that one too.
So back up. Is it the 3D print? Is it the 3D print, or is it the what do you call it? The old Marvel kits, back in like the 90s.
Yeah, I don't. It's like an Ertl, I think. It's a resin mold that's hollow on the inside.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's one of those, and I've never worked with that before, and I've kind of shied away from them. So it'll be really cool for me to put that one together and to paint it all up and all that. And that's something too that was new to me is airbrushing, because as a kid, all you ever use are the usually hand paint everything or spray paint it. And so airbrushing is completely new to me, and that's been a fun kind of a fun thing to learn, and I'm still learning, and I'll be learning for a long time, just because a lot of it's trial and error, I think. But yeah, it's the whole airbrushing aspect has been a lot of fun. Well, it's not always fun. I always run into, especially with primers. Primers just are a pain in the butt. But I'm kind of learning how to set up my airbrush and kind of get the flow right, and could get better at airbrushing. So because I think the whole world of airbrushing opens up different opportunities for different models and stuff like that, just to make them look a little bit better.
So what primer are you using now?
So I started with Vallejo and basically ended up throwing it out the door because, yeah. So here's the problem. So my very first airbrush is a Eagle Talon by Posh, or however you pronounce it. And
I've had that. It's a good airbrush.
It's a great airbrush, but I didn't know about changing needles and stuff. So then when I'm watching different YouTubers and kind of learning that, with primers, they recommend like a 0.5 or higher. So I ended up getting a 0.6 needle for it. And just certain techniques that they said, like putting the air pressure up a bit or lower for certain things. And so far, I've never tried the Vallejo ever again, but I ended up buying the Badger Stynylrez. And I like it. The problem for me is I can't get, the only one I can get to flow right through my gun is the dull pink, which is really nice if you're working on if you need it like a red or certain colors in the finish. But I had one kit that I needed a black base for it, so the black primer, but the black primer was spitting and it was coming out wrong. And so I don't know what I'm doing wrong and all that. So you kind of go through all these different trial and errors, and it seems like you're wasting time and effort on trying to get just the primer correct. But then when you go to shoot the color, and I use mostly Tamiya, the acrylic paints. When you go to shoot those, the gun does amazing. I've got it thinned right. I've got everything. The air pressure is just perfect, and you get beautiful, beautiful layers of paint onto the kit with the colors. But the primer has still just kind of been one of those things where if I have a good day and it's flowing really good, I just start priming everything I can, and usually it ends up being in that dull pink. So you'll see that a lot. Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, that's a cool color," and it's just the primer.
So back a second. The Stynylrez, what are you shooting it at?
So
I suck at airbrushing, and I can at least get the black and gray to work.
You can. Yeah. Okay, so I've been with the Stynylrez. What I did was, so I have the 0.6 needle, and then I bumped my air pressure up to, I think, 35, which is really high, and
which is recommended.
Which is recommended. And it seems really high for me, and it seems to shoot a little better there, but I'm afraid to go any higher than that. And you're blowing through primer like crazy when you have it bumped up that high. So
you're not getting it to shoot through the airbrush?
Well, my biggest issue is dry tip, basically. So I'll end up a lot of times I'll end up shooting without the little protector cap, so that, and I'll have these alcohol prep pads. I buy boxes and boxes of these at Rite Aid, and I'll have one open kind of right next to me so that way I can clean the tip of the needle. And I have to do it so much with the primer. Whenever I'm shooting colors, though, just the standard Tamiya colors, I never have any dry tip issues, but I'm also shooting at a lower pressure. And usually with those, I'm running a 0.3 needle.
So I know with I have mostly Badger and a Posh H now is what I use.
Okay.
And I'm normally around 30-35.5 needle, and I can get black and gray to work without thinning it down. White I have to thin down. It's just white because it's a lot thicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I generally, I mean, it does happen a little bit, but did you buy that primer like during the COVID sale?
So that primer I actually got from a connection that I have. She used to own Hobbies Unlimited in Portland, Oregon, and well, she still owns it, but they had to close their brick and mortar shop, and so I believe that the original Vallejo I had gotten from her, and it was fairly new because she had to order it. The Steinel res I bought from just online at spraygunner.com, and they are awesome, but you never know. Just I don't know how old the product is when I get it, because it could have been sitting on their shelf for a week or several years. You never know.
So what I would do, and this is Badger's, I can say nothing bad about Badger.
Yeah.
But this is their biggest reason I use a lot of their products is if you get on and you message Ken, the owner, you will get a response back with help.
Yeah.
Or email them too. They have got great customer service. Oh, let's see what I can't read that.
I was just reading it. Yeah, I do. I try to keep the airflow going the whole time, because I've heard that does help. And to be honest, I think you're right. I think it has helped to some degree. It's also, I've noticed if I don't know what it's called on the airbrush, but there's that portion of the airbrush that kind of locks everything down tight on the inside of it. And if that is even even a quarter of a thread out, I backflow a lot. And so if I start seeing that I'm backflowing, I'll tear my gun apart, clean it, put it back together, and make sure that that's really tight. But I almost feel like there's a seal missing. And one thing that John Paul, he recommended is just taking some, it's the beeswax lip gloss. And I can't get it out of the drawer right now, but he just puts a little bit on that thread, and it helps lock or kind of seal that in place. And so far, since I've been doing that, I've had less problem with accidental backflow. Except for the other day, it was dumping stuff out the back like crazy. I mean, it went all the way back to the back of the airbrush, and I don't know. I've never had that issue before, but I think I had it. I just didn't have it tight enough on the seal.
Yeah, so. I'm not great with airbrushes at all, so I can't help you there. But like I know, like if I like this, and this is why I own a Posh H, right? Because the Posh H will shoot anything, including, you know how like when they put sofas on and they use that glue to put the fabric on the foam. They use a Posh H to spray that glue.
Really?
And that stuff is thick. Yeah. That stuff is thick, and it'll shoot through a Posh H. So that is the biggest reason why I have a Posh H.
That's good to know. I'll have to look them up.
It is bulletproof. Like if you own one, you could own one for the next 80 years. It'll still work.
Yeah.
Well, you got to take care of the needles, but
Yeah.
But even then, the needles are on the outside of the airbrush. So the main part of the most expensive part of the airbrush, which is only like, I think they're like $60 even.
Mm-hmm.
And then you like the tips are only like $10. And you get the tip or the needle and the I call it the flow regulator on top, but it's like the outer cone or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the biggest reason I have that airbrush, because if I have an issue, I'll like move the paint to that airbrush and see if it's there, if it's, if it'll flow in that.
Yeah.
The airbrush, but I have issues with airbrushing just as much as the next person. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's funny because there's people out there that have been using airbrushes since the beginning, and they have those years of trial and error and issues with it. And it's just like with anything else, everybody has their own opinion. But it's always nice to hear different people's input and suggestions. And so that's one thing that I really encourage, especially with on my channel and stuff, is if you guys see something that I'm doing that I could improve on, don't be afraid to let me know. It's not going to hurt my feelings. And that's, it's, I've gotten a lot of good tips in that way too, because it's, I am totally honest with it. With airbrushing, I have no clue. Even with some of the modeling, it's been 30 years since I've done a lot of modeling. So it's nice to kind of hear those techniques and those opinions, which has been a really good benefit to actually starting this channel, because it's not only are you meeting people within the modeling community like you and all the people over at Hobby Link International and throughout the world. I mean, you're getting to interact with other modelers and people throughout the world that have different levels of experience, and so it's always fun to bounce things off those people.
I have airbrushes, but I hardly use them. I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple that I have that have not even come out of the box. Like
Really?
like Ken. I want to say 4 years ago on Thanksgiving weekend, if you got any of the scores like exactly right, you won an airbrush, and I almost won 3 that weekend.
Wow.
Like I got one of the games perfectly right, and then the other 2 I was off by 1 point each. So,
Yeah, I won. Spray Gunner had a giveaway this Christmas time, and I ended up winning that. And it was the Createx Wicked colors. I haven't used them yet, but I do want to kind of do a review on them. And like Barbados Rex, I'm pretty sure that he did a review on the Createx Wicked colors and really seemed to like them. And I know a few other guys that have liked the Createx.
I use that stuff.
Okay.
I do. I love that stuff.
Okay.
For bodies,
they're good.
Perfect.
They have amazing, like the colors that came with this kit. They have like the lime green, which is one of my favorite colors in the whole world. And then they have these really neat purples. And I just wasn't sure about mixing them with the like Tamiya clear coat and stuff like that. Don't do it. Okay. See, that's why we ask.
So I generally don't use Tamiya, so I don't have that.
Okay.
But what I mix it with is the reducer, and then just spray over it rattle can clear. That's how I've been doing it.
Okay.
But the reducer on that stuff, if you don't have the reducer, it is worth buying.
Yeah, it's 4011 or something like that. 4011. I think
4011, 4012, 40. There's like
they sent me a bottle of that too, which was recommended for that. And I just don't know what to mix it at. I can't remember. What do you end up mixing it at?
Don't use very much of that reducer.
Okay.
Like if you put like, what are they called? These palettes or whatever the hell you call them. Oh no, that's not the right drawer. So if you're using one of these, right?
Oh, the pipettes, yeah.
So if you filled this whole thing with paint, you would only put like that much reducer in it. You don't use very much, and start little and go up, because it does not take very much to reduce that stuff with their reducer.
Okay, fair enough.
Even with water, like you can use water with it, but you don't want to use very much, and it'll flow perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, I've done that mistake a couple times with their products. Is like you like craft acrylic paint or the Tamiya thinner, right? You have to go like 1-to-1. Yeah, you don't want to do that with that stuff.
What do you spray? What do you use as a primer when you're using the Createx color?
Steno Res.
Okay, and it doesn't have an issue. I noticed that's kind of the Steno Res dries really fast, but I usually give it a couple of days before I put any color on top of it. And then
the cool thing with Steno Res is if you get a hair dryer, you can air dry. You could just dry it because it's acrylic.
True.
It's got that acrylic base to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I use it, because I don't like using the enamel stuff, because my wife and son both have lung issues.
Yeah.
So I kind of try to stay in that realm. But the Badger, I mean, you basically blow it with a hairdryer real quick.
That works.
And you can start painting color on it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of people I've noticed too, and Kenny over at HLI, he just got or is getting one or got one, but a lot of people are using a food dehydrator, and that takes up a lot of space, but a hairdryer definitely makes. I mean, I have a hairdryer in here that I use for multiple different things, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to try that.
So this is my opinion, right? And I will say it like this. If you're doing enamels and not the acrylic side, right?
Yeah.
The food dehydrator, I could see the benefit of, because you need multiple hours to have the enamel completely dry even in between coats. So the food dehydrator speeds that process up. I think it's like 10 minutes or so, because you're cooking the paint on there is basically what you're doing. But with the acrylic stuff, if you just like even your airbrush, just turning the paint off and just having the airflow, you can dry the paint as you're going.
True.
You know, I mean, but I'm the A1 dummy around here when it comes to airbrushing. So I kind of just make it work. And it rains a lot here, so I have to deal with that part of it too, being like right now it's like 40, 45 degrees and it's been raining all morning. So I would wait until this afternoon before I would airbrush.
Yeah.
Or, I have to put that heater facing towards the airbrush station so I can warm it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the other issue I have is dust. Got a lot of dust.
Yeah, I mean, you're down in California, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I could totally understand that, because I mean, you have probably the driest climate at most of the time of the year.
Yeah.
So let's talk about tools for a second. What's some of your favorite tools?
So actually, I was doing a live stream on Monday on my channel, and one of my acquaintances from the UK saw this, and he saw me using this in one of my videos. And this is a Westcott. So in my research, I noticed that was it Excel or whatever? They're who makes the hobby knives?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, they make a version of this too, and it's basically a very small knife pen. And this has come in so handy, especially when it comes to working on smaller parts. And you can find them. I got this one at Walmart. And you can find the replacement blades for it as well as the actual pens themselves on Amazon. And this is one of my favorite tools that I use. And then let's see.
So I have a question.
Yeah,
How much pressure can you put on that though? With it
quite a
being
bit.
like a pin style?
You can actually put a lot of pressure on this just because it's so small. And basically, with this drawing down to a point, it prevents any bending or issues like that. And I've actually used this to cut metal. And that blade is actually still fairly sharp. The tip's a little dull on it, but pretty much, I mean, I don't see any issues whatsoever with putting any pressure on it. I have seen like scalpels and stuff. I've seen those actually bend and break. I don't use scalpels, but I would like to get a couple eventually, just because they do come in handy. And then another one. So this is more of a recent purchase, but so I had originally bought this pack of diamond files on Amazon. And the problem with these diamond files, so they come in a pack kind of like that.
Oh, yeah.
See, they have the diamonds are huge on them, and so they tend to cut out or hog out more material than you really want. So I was watching a channel recently, Ben Builds. He did his annual 12 sprues of Christmas build. And one thing I noticed that Ben was using were these little itty bitty jeweler's files or watchmaker's files. And he inherited them he got them from his dad, and his dad had used them, and now he uses them. And he swears by them, and they are amazing files. I ended up finding these on eBay for probably way too much money, but it was a pack of 10 or a pack of 11 of them. So there's more in here, and I won't use anything else. These things have saved my life and my mental state, I guess you would say. They're I don't have the name of them, but they are probably the number one tool that I go to now. And I also before I bought those, I made these sanding sticks out of Tamiya sanding sponge, and then just some skewers. And all I would do is I would cut the sanding sponge into strips, and then super glue them onto the stick. And this little tool right here, definitely, because I made like a whole bunch of them, different grits and all that. And again, this is like one of my favorite go-to things when I'm doing cleanup. And that's kind of with me. When I look at a kit, like it could be the worst kit in the world and a lot of fit issues, and I'm not going to complain about it, because to be honest, one of the things I did when I was in high school was I got into doing body work, and my grandpa taught me. And because we had to do, we were repairing boats and cars and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed the sanding part of that and the body work. And that's one thing that if I have a crappy kit, Bondo works amazing for filling that stuff in. It doesn't shrink as much, like if you have a huge gap. But then doing all that fine sanding, to me, it's kind of calming. And it might be boring for people to watch, so I don't usually include a lot of that in my videos, but that is my favorite part, because you can make a very poor model and turn it into something beautiful with those skills. And so those are kind of my favorite go-to tools.
So Terry left a comment. You see it on the screen?
Yeah.
Now he used to paint. He used to be an automotive painter. If you go back and watch his episode, it's kind of lengthy because Terry can talk that day, which is great, you know. But that's a really good tip. I've heard that from several people, and
that's a good idea. I do need to get a spray bottle. The room that I do my hobby in, we have a 2-bedroom house, so it's basically our guest room. And when we bought the house like 4 years ago, it was funny because this room just kind of became the hodgepodge of this or that. And then when COVID hit, my wife had to turn it into an office, and she would also do her sewing in here and stuff like that on occasion. But we always kind of kept the door closed, so the dust is minimal in here for the most part. But I have a air purifier that I put in that helps reduce it a bit. But I will notice, like, you can be as careful as you want. It doesn't matter, dust will form. But now that we've kind of turned it into a hobby room and stuff like that, it gets used a lot more. So more dust comes in here. And we have 2 dogs, and our one dog sheds like crazy. She's not allowed in here, but I still find her hair in here all the time.
So carpet, right?
No, we ripped out first thing before we moved in. We ripped the carpet out and installed the laminate flooring.
Yeah,
that looks like hardwood, but it's laminate.
huh.
And that was
there went my idea.
That that was actually kind of a benefit in a way, because you lose parts, and trying to find them can be a pain sometimes. But I've managed to find it actually helpful not having carpet in here, because I don't lose stuff. But
no, that's cool. I like I said, that was going to be my suggestion, but
yeah.
But so since it's the new year, what's going to be some of your things you're going to work on throughout the year?
So for the new year, actually, it's kind of one of the big things that we had is Agora Models released a fire truck. It's the Ladder 9 fire truck, and I was kind of talking to, because I'm a firefighter down here, and talking to our chief a little bit. And one thing that I really wanted to do was to donate it to, because my department has a fire museum, and donate it to the museum. And it's going to be pretty much a almost fully functioning fire truck, the model. And we're working on trying to get the ladder portion to actually pump water and spray it. That way, when kids come from the school and stuff to do a tour of the museum, they can interact and kind of have something more interactive to play with, because we all kind of agree that that's how a lot of kids learn now, is more interactive than actually seeing, touching, and playing, rather than just being told something. And it would make the visits to the museum that much more interactive. And so that build I was supposed to start it back in January, but I did one part on a live stream. But part of the problem is I have set up a Facebook for the build, and also trying to get a donation page set up. So I'm still working on trying to get that donation page set up for the build itself, and all the funds for that during the course of the 2-year build that it will be going towards the build itself, and then the Wairika Fire Department to the department itself. So just a way for the community and everybody to help support the fire department, because we are a volunteer fire department. And So anything, really kind of helps, because with COVID, we weren't able to do our fundraisers and things like that. And so that was kind of the Chiefs mentality. So but it's kind of growing. And so at some point here in the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing more, and finally opening up the Facebook page and then the donation page. And then we'll be doing the build of the ladder 9 for the fire department. So that's one of the big things that I'm working on this year, as well as trying to get a couple of replicas built of our retired fire trucks. And one of those is let's see, I actually have the note right here. One of them is a 51 open cab Seagrave, and the other one was a 61 closed cab Seagrave, back when they started closing them up and all that. But trying to find parts for those and model kits for those is near impossible. So I need to try to procure as many different fire engine kits, and then there are some resin options, and then also with 3D printing, we could literally end up printing that design of the fire trucks and then building them like that. But I'm not into 3D printing, so I'm going to have to here pretty soon start working with somebody on either creating those designs or try to piecework different model kits together to come up with the design of the Seagrave.
So Miguel will probably watch this later.
Yeah.
And that is a guy that you probably want to connect with if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot of
Miguel does amazing design, and he's fast. He
yeah, see?
There he is. Hey,
yep.
Miguel, how are you?
That is the guy you probably want to connect with.
Yeah.
You'll have to work out a fee, I'm sure,
exactly,
or whatever that situation is, but definitely is, definitely someone that could help you with that.
Yeah.
For
and then
sure.
Just the other quick builds that are things that I'm working on this year. We have the HobbyLink International group builds that I'll be doing. More of that will be coming to the channel. And then my goal is to finish everything on the in progress shelf. So I have a lot of different builds, like the Land Rover Series 3, the GTO, a couple of aircraft, a 1937 Chevrolet, and a few that are in the in progress state that need to be finished and put up on the channel. So those builds will be completed here in the next few months for everybody to see.
No, that's cool. Mopar. Yeah, you're funny. So anyway, no, that's really awesome. It sounds like a really cool fundraiser too. So what is it you exactly do for a living?
Well, so I worked as at the school as in maintenance, and then I am a volunteer firefighter. So we're volunteer for the most part, but we get like $8 per call. So if you go on a call, you get $8 per call, which is just nice to kind of help as extra money.
Is that everybody in the truck or you?
Everybody in the truck.
$8 for the truck.
No, per person. Each person gets
okay.
So, but still, I mean, that's not. It doesn't add up to a lot, and especially if you're working 10, 12 hours on a structure fire, you're getting $8. So, it's not about the money with that. With that, it's our community and just trying to be an active, moral member of the community, and that's one thing that all fire departments. It's amazing because a lot of people don't realize this, but volunteer firefighter or volunteer fire departments make up 80% of all the fire departments in the United States. And so a lot of people, in Seattle, they get paid firefighters. Well, yeah, it's Seattle. They make a lot of money. But everywhere else in the world, even I think in Cottage Grove, are they volunteer up there, or do they have a paid department?
So it's a smaller community.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have, I think we only have like, I think 10 people on staff, but I think they're
Wow.
all paid.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not, it's not very many for like, I think we just hit over 10,000 people here.
Okay. See, our town is 7,000. So it's the city, like there's no way they could afford to pay for a full department. Our chief does get paid. That just happened about a year or two ago, just because we realized that it's a full-time job and it needs to be handled, because with 7,000 people in such a fairly large population, even though it seems small, we get a lot of calls. We have, I think this year alone, over 2,000 calls for our department. And most of those are medical calls, granted, but during the summertime, we get sent out to fight wildfires, and those we will actually get paid for by the state typically if you're there for over 4 hours, and then that's kind of where all the money comes in to make it almost worth it, with all the training that we have to do and pay for on our own a lot of times, and things like that. So that in wildfires here as well as in Oregon, that's during the summertime. A lot of people think, oh, it's just from a few months in the summer. It can range from for us down here, starting in it as early as April, or even March. Wildfire season runs from about that time all the way through till the end of November, sometimes even December.
Yeah.
So it's a big chunk of the year.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I ended up, I got injured at work at my day job, and my back, I was having a lot of issues, and so we ended up, I've been on, I've been basically pulled from both jobs, and have spent basically a lot of time being told you can't do anything until we have surgery and all this. And thankfully, surgery is around the corner, so I can get back to work, because the one thing that affected me the most was not being able to be out there and help my fellow firefighters, because it's a hard. There's not very many people that are willing to join departments anymore, and we have the lowest staffing that we've ever had in the Wairika Fire Department, because people in the community just aren't interested in joining, and it's unfortunate. And so it's like we've been short staffed, and I haven't been able to help out. And so my after my surgery, I think the greatest thing for me will be going back and being able to be working for the department again.
And in the meantime, it's great that you have the modeling hobby to kind of keep the mind thing, right?
That's been the big thing, because I was going nuts, and modeling has definitely kind of helped keep my feet on the ground. And it's wonderful too, because I mean, especially just not like, even not being able to really communicate and spend time with your family or friends during the whole COVID thing. I mean, the people that I've met and the friends that I've made throughout the course of the modeling community, and especially with Hobby Link International, and that's such a wonderful community over there, that those people that I've met have just kind of kept me sane, I guess I would say.
So how do you actually like that group? Because that group's got a lot of different people in it.
It does, and it's very diverse, different skill levels, different different areas of the modeling. Some people are into 3D
around the world too.
Yes.
That's the other thing that I love about that group.
People from countries that I've never even heard of, and just in different aspects of the hobby. And it's been so much fun getting to see what they're doing, and I absolutely love, like Kenny, he does his live streams which are a lot of fun, and then also post a lot of really good content. And then you're also being introduced to all these other modelers in the forums and stuff, and seeing their work and passing on different tips and this and that. And if you have a question about something, somebody, you'll definitely get several different responses, which is wonderful. So by far, I think they are one of the best communities out there that I've been able to find. So if,
Yeah, I follow mostly the Facebook page and the YouTube account, right?
Yeah.
And I just like how there's like literally it's around the world. You can literally find someone from each country
Yes.
on that page. It's such a unique group. And I think that's because of the sci-fi thing, right? Because he does all the electronics, right? For the Star Trek stuff. And I don't know about Star Wars. I know Star Trek, yes.
HobbyLink International is actually they've created their own boards for a lot of the Star Trek stuff. The Grissom that's coming out, they were the first to produce a board for that, a lighting board. They also sell different model kits and things like that, and accessories for kits. And so it's not only a community, but they are also producing product for the modeling community as well. And a lot of it started with Star Trek and Star Wars and other sci-fi stuff. But it's funny because I've always kind of been a big Star Trek fan since I was a kid, but I was never like super gung-ho about it. But I do enjoy building. Like I have the JJ Prize is what we call it, the Enterprise from the new movies. And I'm going to be building that on my channel here pretty soon. And I'm going to be lighting it and doing all that fun stuff with it and adding a few things. And so that kind of, the funny thing is a lot of people come to the community for that, but they are also into, whether you're into one thing like cars or planes or tanks, or into sci-fi, it doesn't matter. You're very welcomed into the HobbyLink International community, and it's amazing because everybody is so kind and so inspiring with their content that they put out, and so it's not just sci-fi stuff, and that's what kind of has been amazing. Because if you go to the group builds, and you can join the group builds on the forum and in the community, and there's everything from the sci-fi builds to ships. They're doing tall ships this year, I think, or tall ships might have been last year, I can't remember. But tall ships, there's all the military.
Batman.
I think that's under the movies and TV shows group build. Then there's the cars of the 50s this year that we're doing. There's also like the resin and busts and different things like that, and 3D printing group builds. So it's a very, very open to all types of different types of modeling, and also just kind of just a general fun place to kind of hang out when you want to look at different builds and stuff like that. And there's no shortage of that, to be honest. We have a lot of people that have joined the community on the forums, and you could just spend the day going through and looking at all of their work and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome.
No, yeah, it's a very, very unique club.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't really do the forums much, just because I have a hard enough time keeping up with Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like that group. And Kenny's a cool guy too. I'd love to get Kenny on here, but Kenny streams like 4 days out of the week and has a full-time job and a family. Yeah, he ain't,
He's a busy guy. I'm sure at some point you'll be able to snag him.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
but yeah, it's Kenny's. It was funny because the first time I went on to one of Kenny's live streams, it was funny because I was like, "What the heck is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is weird." And
I think, and I could be wrong about this, but he was kind of Paul at ISM and Gil at Styrene Syndicate, and then Kenny was kind of the one doing it by himself. They were doing group hangouts, but Kenny was kind of the first one doing a solo thing.
Exactly.
Talking about the page and all the stuff that he used to do. He was kind of the first one doing that.
And it's funny because I mean he's for the amount of stuff that Hobby Link International pushes out, it's amazing that he has the time and dedication to that, because it's a lot of work. Just even running one YouTube channel for me, when I can go back to work and stuff, it's my streams and stuff are probably going to have to cut back a bit and just down to one video a week. And it just you do what you can, but he is so dedicated to, and I think what keeps him going are the members. Just the members of the community are really what keep him going, and it's really awesome to see. And so it's funny because the first time I saw the live stream, I was just like, "Oh, this is interesting." So I clicked subscribe, and then I kind of slowly would pop in here and there, and then after I joined the community and the forums and all that, it was just like, this is the place for me, and so it's been pretty much one of the base areas that I hang out most of my time that I'm available, and I try to post to the community all of my current builds and things like that. It's all kind of become part of that whole process of going on and putting all your stuff onto YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and now Hobby Link International has kind of become another one of those areas where I post all my work, and I can actually post stuff there that I can't necessarily post on Facebook, or different builds that I'm working on that are kind of below the radar that I haven't put out yet onto YouTube because I haven't had the time to edit it. I can put all those photos onto the community forum, and people can go there and check out what I'm working on behind the scenes as well. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, I need more info. Are you talking about the Hobby League International or his page? Because he has YouTube and Facebook too.
Yeah.
So I need some more info on that comment.
I also have like the Twitter, and so I never in my life thought I'd be on Twitter until I started my page. I still don't understand how Twitter works, but I post stuff up there.
I was informed the other day that Twitter is for old men.
That's funny.
Yeah. And a 20 something year old kid that told me that at work, and I was like,
that's funny.
I don't use Twitter, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, I also post on Instagram, and Instagram has been you're kind of limited to what you can do, but it's great for putting pictures and stuff, and then kind of interacting a little bit with different modelers out there. So, and
actually, the one that I've kind of found that's been kind of unique and it's growing a little bit for me is TikTok.
I can't do that. My wife does that. I can't. So I don't understand how it works, but
believe it or not, it's not really any more difficult or less difficult than Instagram. But it is a video format, but you can post pictures on there. You can do like a 3-minute video. There's like it. I don't post as much as I probably should on there, but yeah, there's definitely a unique thing. Oh yeah, Hobby Link International. Yeah, so there is a YouTube page and a Facebook page. And I can't remember Kenny, I think it's Coughlin, Crocklin?
Conklin.
Conklin? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, it is such a cool group.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he had a website too. That's cool.
Yeah, so if you go to the hobbylinkinternational.com website, there's links there to the YouTube, the Facebook, and the community. So you'll see a community tab, and that'll take you to the forums, and just all kinds of wonderful information over there on the website itself, even. So you can decide to become a part of the community or not. And a lot of the group builds are open to the general public, even if you're not a forum member. So
No, yeah, it's such a cool group. Now, what are you doing with Eagle Moss kits? That was the last question I had for you.
So a lot of people that do follow my channel have probably noticed that Eagle Moss has that like with the Enterprise. I'm still posting because I have a backlog of video to edit of the Eleanor Mustang, the Gone in 60 Seconds Eleanor Mustang. So you'll see those pop up here and there on the channel. But the Enterprise and the Ecto 1 have completely stalled. That's because I haven't gotten anything. I can't build it if I don't have it. They're one of those companies where, so as I got more, I was excited about these builds. I ordered them, and then all the lack of communication and all the issues with Eagle Moss kind of started. And personally, I've had my fair share of issues with the Ecto 1. I really, really wanted that Ecto 1 to be a $1,200-$1,600 model, and it's not. There's a lot of issues with the chroming on it. I've had to get a couple of different hoods for it, and both of the hoods have defects in them. The communication with the company, I've had fairly good communication with them, but there's also been times to where it's just like they say they'll do something and they don't. And then when it comes to the parts not coming out, and everybody in Facebook can, say this as well, that they just haven't been receiving their parts. Now they're not charging you at the same time, but it's like, okay, come on, I want to build this. And part of the Enterprise is one of those kits where I don't know if I'm going to continue it or not. I would love to, but when you start seeing all the people that are way ahead of me in the build, as well as with the Ecto 1, a lot of the issues that are coming up with them, to me, it's not worth it. I would much rather buy a really nice 1/24th scale or 1/25th scale Ecto 1 and build it and make it just look absolutely amazing and light it and do all that. And like the Enterprise, the Starship Enterprise, you can buy a kit and just really make it look outstanding. It's not going to be the same scale as the Enterprise, and won't have, you can do all the lighting you want in a plastic model kit, and it'll look great. But some of the fit issues with those two kits. The Mustang, on the other hand, that one I do think I'm going to carry on with, just because it's probably one of the better ones. But right now I'm in limbo with those kits, and there will be more to come on the channel probably in the next month or two. I'll be announcing what my final decision is with the Eagle Moss kits. For those of people that don't know, there's another company out there called IXO Collections, and they only have two kits available to the US at this time. One of them's a Peugeot, I can't remember the model of it, but it's a Peugeot, and then a Porsche, it's a racing Porsche, that the builds on those are museum quality. They're beautiful. They're amazing. They go together very well. And so if anybody who's watching that is interested in a Partworks build, stay away from Eagle Moss at this time until more comes out. Because of my personal input is the quality of it. IXO Collections, they're a foreign company, but they're great with communication. And if I could, I would love to build those kits. Also, Agora Models, some are hit or miss. And Agora is a great company, and they have the Bismarck. It's not their fault that it doesn't meet the quality standards that I want, but that's an easy kit for me to modify and to make better, as in painting it and kind of cleaning up the parts that I have issues with. So the Bismarck is one of those that is definitely worth it to me in the end. But then, some of the other kits that I've seen, like the James Bond car, it's like there's some really strange issues with that kit that just for what you're paying for it doesn't make sense to me. So do your research when you're looking into these companies and into doing a Partworks. For me personally, I would much rather spend, $400 to $600 on getting the 1/200 plastic model of the Bismarck and build that one. And I'm going to do that down the road at some point. I'm going to get that kit and from Trumpeter and build it. And it'll probably look a heck of a lot better than the one that I'm spending more money on from Agora. So that's kind of my personal take on it. Hopefully that answers your question.
Well, because you've kind of made that known in your videos sometimes too, that you're not very happy with it, and you're the first person I've ever heard say anything negative about this company.
Yeah.
On YouTube. Really? I don't know about the Facebook page. I
try. I don't post a lot of comments and stuff on Facebook. So a lot of what you're going to see from me on my channel and part of the reason I changed everything from originally I wanted to do like a tutorial type build, and it's like there's a ton of tutorials out there, and I just want you guys to see my honest opinion and see the build as it's happening. And so I've kind of transitioned to that a little bit. And if something comes out of my mouth, it's going to be the truth and how I feel about it. And
that's how it should be, though. Even if you do have an arrangement with them, you should be able to speak freely.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. Like you can't. I mean, yeah, you're still getting some, but you should still be able to, say what you want to say. It's your channel.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Is like, what if Eagle Moss was to even send me the parts for free, which they probably never will, but I would be completely honest about it. And that's kind of how I live my life. I mean, I'm one of those people that even if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, I tell them the truth. And it might not always be the best the best way to go about life, but that's just the way that I am and how I was raised. And I was raised by my grandparents, and they never would be honest with you, and just even if it kind of hurt a little bit, when you grow up and realize that what they were saying was right, it's just a better way to live life. And I'm not with Eagle Moss. It's just, to be honest, I mean, I really love the Ecto one, and you can probably take your time and make it better. But it's just trying to wait for parts and do all this. It's like, especially when you have a channel, a YouTube channel, and people are wanting to see the next step, and you can't do the next step because you don't have the parts. I mean, that's not a business practice I like. And Agora's really good. Agora, to be honest, they've been really good with communications. I've heard some people have issues with them, but this year and just towards the end of last year, they started communicating very well and saying, hey, here's what's up. and they're pretty open and honest with their customers. And so, yeah.
I think the biggest reason why I don't do those is because it takes like 2.5 years to get the full kit.
Yeah.
And it's like $50 a month.
Yeah.
Or you get so many parts, but I think it equals out to like $50 a time.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just think that's too much. That's just my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
And that's why I don't have any.
It's, to be honest with you. So, let's not picking on the Ecto 1 again, but let's say for the Ecto 1, you can go and purchase a completed Ecto 1, and I think it's considered 1/8 or 1/12 scale. I can't remember. But I watched a video of this guy that bought one, and it comes in a huge box. It's massive, and it's completely built and everything. And you could take that, and that kit itself, it's worth $1,600 that you pay for it. It's beautiful when it comes to the end of it. For you to go through and buy a part works, you're expecting that same quality, and when it's not, when the quality is not the same, it's like that's where you have to weigh is this really worth it in the end. But there's been a lot of so I do have I want to kind of get off that topic, but I do have the SR71 coming. I got it as a pre-order from Andy's Hobbies headquarters, and that is one kit that I think I got it for.
Is that the Revell one?
It is the new Revell kit, and that one is, to me, it's like I would rather spend my money on something like that, or if if I want to get the 1/200 hood, the HMS hood, as well.
What is that? What is that?
It's a battleship.
Okay.
So it's the battleship that the Bismarck sunk, and it's a really beautiful kit, but they're not available right now. And so I'm hoping when those come available, it's like kits like that, I feel like people are a little bit more interested in watching be built on the channel. And so it's kind of funny because with I've never really done a lot of photo etch, and I haven't done anything yet on the channel that introduces photo etch. However, I do have the Hind has a lot of photo etch, and then a couple of the other builds that will be coming up on the channel this year. I'll be adding a lot of resin and photo etch to those builds just to make them nicer. And to me, that's where I'd rather spend my money. No,
that's cool. So we've hit almost that 1.5 hour mark. Did you have any questions for me?
No, not really. Just kind of curious. I haven't been able to see any of what you've been working on lately. So kind of curious what you've been up to. You showed me something earlier that looked really cool.
So I've been printing out a bunch of figures, and in a couple weeks you'll kind of understand why.
Yeah.
But this is Hulkbuster that I got off the 3D printer. This is the body for it, and then I'm doing the waist right now. You can probably hear it in the background. And then last night in the hangout, it actually winds up.
No way.
Like it winds up and moves. Like
really cool.
I had to glue the head in spot, but I'm sure the head's supposed to move too. But yeah, like I was working on that, and then I got this guy out because I'm kind of stalled at the moment on my Warlord Titan that I printed out. Now I'm starting to get the painting down, and I'm kind of waiting on a couple things for that. So
yeah,
that's a toy. Hey, you know what? I don't know if I have the box anymore, but no, it's actually a model kit. Yeah, I had to put it together. Like I was shocked when I opened it up. I was like, "What the heck is this?" But you know.
No, it's funny because I've seen people actually take action figures, toy action figures, and turn them into a like they clean them up and then fill in any gaps or anything like that. And they paint them up really nice and turn them into really nice figures. So
Yeah, they like my son, I've gotten him like the 12-inch like Batman, Superman, and yeah, they take clay and they resculpt them into something else and reposition. Yeah, he's got a couple that are broken that might get transformed if I can see if I can get him hidden out here so he doesn't see. You know.
that's funny.
No, I've gotten some of the detail stuff down. Now I'm just working on the armor plates on the Warlord Titan. You can see it in the background. It even looks big just sitting, off camera. And that's just half of it,
Yeah, 3D printing is something I've never really gotten into. And it's funny because how it's changed. I remember a friend of mine that I used to work with back in the late 2000s, and 3D printing was just kind of becoming a thing. And he spent thousands of dollars on this 3D printer and was printing this pretty amazing stuff. And so it's funny, until last year, I'd never really looked into it because I always thought it was a rich man's game. And it's not. It's amazing what the printers are that you can get for fairly inexpensive, and the quality that's coming out of them. And I definitely see the benefit of 3D printing, especially if you're wanting to modify your kits and scratch build some stuff.
No, 3D printing is, I've mostly been using it for figures, but at some point, we'll see what happens with the modeling side of it. But I enjoy putting the figures together because some of them figures, man, just to get a plain blank can be $40 sometimes.
Yeah.
Or, I could buy $40 in resin and have all kinds of stuff I can paint.
Exactly.
So, it's all a process at the end of the day. And, I've got enough stuff to keep me busy. And that's, being up here when it rains 10 months out of the year, you need something,
That's true.
Got any other questions for me?
No, that was it.
Well, thank you for coming on. I'm glad we were able to make this work.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So a couple people have asked for you to put the link in the chat, and I'll let you do that while I do the exit out thing I do.
All right, so which link for?
Your YouTube channel.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to hold on. I got to pull that up, and then yeah.
I know it's hard to do that while we're talking.
Yeah.
But and like I said, thank you for coming on. It's been an hour and a half. Didn't seem like it was that long, right?
No, it was definitely, and it was a lot of fun though. So
yeah,
I always like interacting and talking with other model builders. So
yeah, it's cool to see other people's favorite tools and stuff like that too. It's just this whole process is working and everybody enjoys it. So I keep trying to do it. So
I don't know if it shared it or not.
I haven't seen anything come up yet. So
see, let me send it to you.
And if it comes down to it, I can always put it in the description later, but I have to wait till tomorrow to do that because
there I sent under private chat. I sent it to you, and maybe you can put it.
Gotcha. Okay, here we go. Oh no, what'd I do? Dummy. All right, let's see. That should work.
There, I see it.
Hopefully that's what Jamie needed. So
perfect.
But
yeah, I see it.
Sweet. But thank you for coming on. I'm going to do the out, and I will talk to you in a couple minutes, okay?
All right. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
So, what everybody think this week? Hopefully everybody learned as much as I did. It's really cool to get other people's perspective on the hobby. So it's definitely a fun interview. I enjoyed it, but some of the things that I've been working on, like I finished printing out the sideboard, and I think I got it all glued together. But I've been working on the Hulk Buster. I put this thing together in like 20 minutes, even though, I don't know. I'm glad that wasn't the expensive thing in that stash. But the Warlord Titan, I'm going to be hopefully getting some Cricut stuff, and there's going to be an update video coming soon. So I will see you guys later. Bye.